So here are some questions for you. What is the current state of snooker? Is it in crisis or not? Is it heading in the right or wrong direction? I'm Gareth Jones, and we're going to try and answer some of those questions over the next couple of minutes. Not me, I don't know anything, but luckily we have our experts here in the form of snooker professional coach and commentator Peter Lines and Sporting Life snooker expert and columnist Rich Mann. Gents, thank you for answering these questions. Expecting some bold opinions here, and good luck with all of that. So we have no events in China, but in Hong Kong getting absolutely huge crowds. We've got some really big prize money on offer, but lower ranked players probably complaining they don't always feel like they're getting a big enough slice of the pie. We've had some of the biggest stars like Ronnie O'Sullivan, as always, having real clashes with the governing body. So tell me, first question, is snooker in crisis or not? Or is this just the story of any sport and governing body occasionally having some clashes? Peter?
Yeah, no, I don't think it is in crisis. I mean, the world's been in crisis, hasn't it? It's not just a snooker thing since COVID, but snooker's survived, and I think snooker always will survive. Viewing figures are up and audiences are up, at venues and that. Snooker looks in good shape, and I know for a fact that World Snooker are trying as hard as they possibly can. They brought some new people in to try and improve things, and I see good things in the future for snooker.
Rich, what about you?
I wouldn't use the word crisis. I don't know if I can bring myself to say that. It's been a tough year for snooker. Obviously the match fixing scandal, which hopefully we're coming to the end of now and we can clean up the sport. And snooker's not the only sport affected by that, by the way. I mean, it's happening far too often in far too many sports. I think the pandemic's hurt snooker, it's hurt sport, and it's hurt business in general, actually. Where I would be critical of World Snooker is potentially putting a lot of eggs in the Chinese basket. I feel like there's more opportunity, well, not more, but there are opportunities in Europe. We've seen a success story the German Masters has been. I'd like another event in Germany, ideally. I think Holland's another place where snooker's really growing and popular. I'd like to see some investment there. But of course, I'm talking with the benefit of hindsight. And a few years ago, China were pouring money into the game, and it felt like the right thing to do. Those would be my criticisms. And I guess we've seen a snapshot this season as well. Life without Ronnie O'Sullivan and Mark Williams and John Higgins, we didn't see them in the Players Series, and it felt like different events. But as Peter said, snooker will survive. I think it's about marketing these younger guys coming through. I think Judd Trump and Jack Lazowski are terrific for that. I think they're really trying to engage with the younger audience, but we need more of that.
Yeah, I think people thought the same thing with Alex Higgins, who's going to, and then Jimmy White came along. When Jimmy White finished, Ronnie came along, and there will be another Ronnie O'Sullivan out there. There will be someone, and maybe it will be Judd. He pulls crowds in, and people come to watch snooker. I mean, people love Ronnie O'Sullivan, don't get me wrong, but people come to love snooker because the tension it gives. It's not like other sports, People love it when people are missing and it goes down to the black ball game, and that's the sort of tension. You can't put a price on that, and that's what snooker gives you. That thrill of watching how tense it can get with a crowd in there, and snooker will survive. It definitely will.
You should be doing the marketing here, Peter. We've absolutely sorted that. I mean, loads to get our teeth into what we were talking about there. We'll come on to the youngsters, the next generation of talent shortly. But we mentioned Ronnie a couple of times already. He has been, not for the first time, very outspoken about how the sport is being ran at the moment. What do you make to that overall war of words and whether it's actually damaging the sport or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think any publicity, I think all the snooker players should kind of really watch what they say and especially when they don't know the full facts. Ronnie's had opportunities to come to players' meetings and speak to World Snooker, but chooses to go down a different avenue now. That's what he wants to do. Ronnie's arguably the greatest player ever to play the game, but some of his comments I don't agree with. I take them with a pinch of salt, like I think a lot of people do. Obviously, the Ronnie fans, they jump on the bandwagon, don't they? But the rest of it is what it is. Players say things, don't they? Players say things in the heat of the moment. Players say things that they don't really understand, and it is what it is.
That's a fair point. Without sounding harsh, we're talking about economics here in a really tough time in the world, and Ronnie probably isn't the best person to have a view on that. Now, he's entitled to his opinion, and look, his publicity bad. I don't know. It certainly ramped things up ahead of this tournament.
Well, that's it. There's probably more column inches going on the World Championships because of Ronnie and the way he comes out. This again, not for the first time. So, is there a bit of deliberately playing kind of the bad guy with this and just getting some more column inches for World Snooker, even if it might be seen as negative?
I think for Ronnie, he loves to get in a fight a little bit before a big event. I think he's always done that. He looks to try and cause some controversy, and then it's me against the rest of the world, and it spurs him on a little bit on the table. I wonder if he's kind of had that in mind as well.
Yeah, because I've noticed as well, Ronnie, he likes to single other players out as well. He likes to tell you how well Mark Selby's playing and Murphy and that, to try and deflect from his chances, even though he knows he's the best player in the world. It's just what Ronnie does. And he's a 7-time champion, so something's working for him.
We're also talking there about kind of that next generation of kind of replacing the Ronnies, etc. Where are we on establishing, a breakout star in? I mean, they don't have to be 20 years old, do they? But that's what kind of catches the imagination. We've seen glimpses of that from youngsters coming through in the Worlds in previous times. But Pete's someone that is a coach and living and breathing on the circuit every single day. Where is the talent?
Yeah, I think it's struggling to come through over here, for whatever reason. I don't think there's as many kids playing snooker and that, but also snooker's kind of changed. These players are playing better for longer. Before, like when Hendry broke through, once you got to 20 and late 20s, your career was coming to an end. That's not the case anymore. These kids will establish themselves. People still call Jack Lazowski a youngster. He's probably nearly 30 or something. I don't know how old he is, but but he's still. He's a fantastic player to watch, and he is a star in the making, and if he wins the World Championships this year, he could be a global star in no time.
Are you seeing in the snooker clubs the same amount of kids coming in as you saw 15 years ago?
No, that's the thing, and I think that is probably one area that snooker could improve. Going into the grassroots and having a look and going into schools, encouraging kids to come and play, showing them, but because you're in an age these days where it's more PlayStation and laptops and that, and I'm not a fan of that myself, but I think that's where we should be addressing, going to the grassroots like they did in China. That's why you've seen these young kids come over from China, because it's on the curriculum out there. They're putting money into it, to try and improve the game and improve the standard, and maybe we should be doing the same thing.
And it seems to be like that China is investing more. So is that when you're saying we should be learning over here a little bit more of how they're doing it over there?
Yeah, possibly. They must be doing something right. They've got, or they had, 23 players on the tour at the start of the season. Obviously there's some trouble going on, and it remains to be seen what's going to happen to those players. But, if some of these players get banned, they'll get replaced by other brilliant players from China, from Asia or Thailand or wherever. I'm sure they will, But yeah, I think we should be doing the same. We should be attacking the grassroots and trying to get kids playing snooker again, like we did in the 80s, 90s.
Has the betting scandal, Richard, damaged the reputation at all of snooker?
I think it did initially, and short term it will, but I definitely think snooker will recover and survive from that, because we've seen it in other sports. Cricket's been really badly tarnished by match fixing, but it grew again and came back from it stronger. So I think World Snooker have just got a big job on their hands. They've got to get it stamped out now and be seen to be doing the right thing. And then I guess when we really come out of COVID and we can start getting the Chinese events back, then people like Ronnie can properly judge World Snooker and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to take the game forward. It's been such a tough time at the moment. I've got my criticisms. I'd like to see them do more in Europe and things like that. But don't underestimate how tough it's been for business full stop. So I would cut World Snooker some slack there. And as Peter says, it's not for the want of trying.
Yeah, I'd like to see more like events. excuse me, like the way we run, like we've done with the UK this season, where we've changed the format, we've made it a little bit better, we've made it a better experience when you go to the venue. I'd like to see that, be attacked in others. If we could get 5, 6, 7 tournaments like that, and then couple that with other tournaments like the Home Nations and that, where it's an open draw and stuff like that, have a mix of events, I think that could work really well. There's talk that the German Masters possibly is going to go to a similar format for next season, and I think it would work really well because the German fans deserve that. You know, you get 2,000, 3,000 people in there, whatever it is. You know, so having a proper massive event out there could be the thing that then could have a knock-on effect into other countries.
And what about competitions for, say, some of those lower-ranked players and being supported more? Is there enough support at the moment? Is there more opportunity enough for them? We kind of saw in Hong Kong, was it the top 8?
I think, as a low-ranked player myself as well, I think the opportunity is there. You know, obviously they've given them money this year, you know, for the first time, you know, like to sort of guarantee them an income. And I think that's all you can really do. Put the opportunities there. It's up to these players, or all players, to go out there and try and grab these opportunities, you know, and sport's tough, all sport's tough, you know, whatever sport you go into is tough. There's no guarantees that you should be entitled to anything. It's up to you to possibly go out there and earn it, you know, go out there and take those chances that put in front of you.
And just finally, we touched on kind of where snooker goes from here, and you both say it's not in crisis, but Peter, you were talking about maybe expanding how snooker's ran the UK's this year. Rich, where do you think it goes? What are the initiatives that we could see in the future?
Well, first and foremost, we need a really good World Championship. We had a great one last year, a good final, Ronnie and Judd. We could do with something similar, and then really try and attack next year. Desperately could do with a tournament or two back in China. I think that would really help. I know there's a lot of talk behind the scenes that may or may not happen. Fingers crossed it does. And then we've seen Germany, Hong Kong, other places, not just in the UK, that seem to really love their snooker, really passionate supporters.
Also, I think what worked really well at the UK Championship was the interaction with the players and the fans. They put an initiative together where the players were going to go out there, meet the fans, and maybe give them a bit of coaching, do a few shots, to have a little Q&A session and that. And stuff like that works really well. It gives you a chance to see the personalities of these players and get to meet them. And that's what being a snooker fan is all about.
Do you think we were a little bit guilty, particularly in the media, of forgetting it is World Snooker, and we're kind of judging it sometimes by what's happening in the UK and not seeing the health of it in Europe, Germany, and obviously the likes of China when it reopens? And actually, as a world, it's looking quite strong as a competition. Maybe just the UK, it's not as the heights it's been in the past.
Yeah, but it will come back. It will definitely come back. And I guarantee you that World Snooker, every person at World Snooker is trying as hard as they possibly can to make it happen and make it come back. Nobody's sitting around thinking, you know, we're not bothered about going to China. We're not bothered about breaking these new... They're all trying as hard as they can. It's a tough environment, but I'm sure they will crack it. I'm sure they will.
Rich, share the confidence?
Yeah, I think I do long term, actually. From what you hear, there's some good people at World Snooker, some really hard workers. So I do think they'll crack it. And I agree with about the initiatives. The UK was brilliant. Jack Lazowski and Judd Trump going onto that table outside the venue and just basically giving their cue for members of the public to come and have a shot. I thought it was fantastic. I'd like to see a lot more of that. Market these young, cool stars, because those two guys especially, they're real cool kids out there. They dress well, they look well, and they certainly play well, and we need more of that.
And that's the sort of initiative that could attract young people if they see these people wearing certain types of clothing and how they dress and how they act and all. Yeah, that's the thing that could bring youngsters into the game. Yeah, not old fogies like myself.
You're being too harsh on yourself. Rich and I definitely, but not yourself. You just moisturise very well. You're looking much better than us. Thank you so much to Rich and Peter for their thoughts on snooker's big talking point. For loads more opinion and insight into the world of snooker, do go to the snooker pages of sportinglife.com for insight from Rich, from Peter, and also Neil Folt.